Today is August 23rd. As if it wasn't clear before today, the Pirates' postseason hopes were just buried in Chavez Ravine. Bucks swept by the Dodgers. We're going to talk all about it. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast.
Fine.
Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
How's it going, man? Nah.
The vibes are low. I mean low.
But bum.
I'm bummed out. I'm bummed out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Listen, we said that they were going to need to do the impossible the rest of the way out, or nearly impossible the rest of the way out. And they essentially went to LA and did what they absolutely could not do.
The opposite of, what they needed to do, actually.
Yeah. They got swept. They got swept by the Dodgers. And listen, I said to my father-in-law, if this was April or May, I would be able to sit back and say, yeah, I mean, you got swept by the Dodgers. That kind of makes sense. In LA, you just got to bounce back. And the position we're in right now is just making that hard.
The position we put ourselves in.
Well, exactly. Yeah. The position that this team has put themselves in makes it so that one of these types of things. Now, I did mention, I think on Friday's show, and if you haven't been paying attention and you maybe weren't aware, 2 shows a week. And I know you're probably thinking, what? There's too much to talk about right now. And we've got some plans for the off season. We want to be consistent with that stuff. So if you're not subscribed and you're not looking out for those shows coming on Friday morning, subscribe, hit those notifications so they're there. Cause we've got shows coming. But anyway, I think I said, if they get swept here, then they've still got 6 games on the road trip. They have to come up with a sweep in either San Diego or St. Louis, and they have to win the other series just to come back at a situation where they're 5-4 coming out of the road trip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there is a situation, and I said that's not really good enough, but at least you're hanging on. But you don't have the luxury of going 4-5 or worse on a road trip right now.
No.
So I did kind of leave a little crack on Friday to say, if this happens, there is a way out, but it just keeps making, they're not mathematically gone. They're 8.5 games back though. And the other thing is if you get swept, you have to hope that the Padres are losing or the Cardinals are losing, the Phillies are losing, whatever it is, right? And I don't know if you looked today, but the Phillies won, the Padres won, which those are the 2 teams right now in that spot. And it's okay. You can't do that. That's it. Right. And so that's why we say, like, the postseason hope. Bucko Mike, I see this and I'm going to be typical Josh here, okay? Allow me to be that, right? This is my take. This doesn't have to be yours. Bucko Mike says season's over. No, it's not. They got 30 games left. But their playoff hopes are over. Not mathematically. So, like, there's always baseball is crazy like that.
Yeah.
The Marlins went 18-4 once in a month this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only reason they're ahead of us, because they had some wild and crazy run. So, like, yeah, it can happen, but it's not going to. We're watching this team play. They're not
Yeah.
playing like a team that's going to go on a run.
No.
This is them falling apart. So
Yeah,
the season itself is not over. You have to continue. When you're eliminated, they don't stop the games. You got to play them. And I'm going to watch them. And I'm going to enjoy it. It's just different because 3-4 years ago, I knew they were going to stink. I still enjoyed watching the games. You complained a lot less, right? Because you're like, yeah, I mean, look at this roster. You know what I mean? You got Josh Van Meter out there. Of course you're not going to win games. I get it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This team should not be losing games at this rate. Not this roster. Not this team. They should not be. I understand they're banged up, but it's bad. I agree. I agree with you, Bucko Mike. 81-81 has to kind of be the goal right now. I told Jake before we went on, I said they have to try to salvage at least not being a losing team. This team came out of the gate, and the way that they were scoring runs and things were going on. And I know the bullpen, that's been a conversation the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And when that was happening, I thought, if they get this bullpen thing figured out, they might end up being better than what I thought. Like we thought that for a while.
Yeah,
they looked the part. They have a good team.
Yeah,
and it just they could never. What do we say? They haven't won more than 5 games. They haven't lost in a row. They haven't lost more than 5 games in a row. I was talking to a buddy of mine who is a Marlins fan. We were just kind of comparing the seasons and where we were at. And he's feeling like, yeah, I mean, this is about there. They could finish around, just a couple games over 500, maybe where we thought if things went, decently well. And, I just went through and I said, what the Marlins need, because they've been doing hot streaks and then they lose 12 straight. You know what I mean? I was like, what they could use is some of that veteran presence that keeps things stabilized. And I said, it felt like the Pirates kind of went into this season and did that. They went out and got Lau. They got O'Hearn. Even the Ozuna signing that didn't work out, they still did something to get, and he probably still did help in this way. Sure. Because it's off the field, but like keeping things a little bit stabilized. Hey, don't get too down. You're going to bounce back and all that thing, right? You have those guys that have been through it. And then add Reynolds in there, who's been around. You know what I mean? The unfortunate part is they also didn't get hot. They also didn't go on any runs at all. It was almost like they were too cool. And you could see that from guys like Lau and Reynolds. And really, O'Hearn's got some fire to him.
Yeah.
But there are those guys, and with O'Hearn being injured and Horwitz being injured and Cruz being injured, we know that the depth there, even though some guys stepped up, and you found out about Esmeralyn Valdez in the process, it just wasn't enough here to withstand some of those things. But it's all, to me, about not being able to go on a run.
Yeah, 100%. You got to be able to get hot and stay hot in this league if you want to make the playoffs, period. You almost can't go all season without a streak of 8 games at least.
No.
And put yourself in a good spot to make the playoffs.
No. We could do the exercise right now if you want. I mean, you tell me, are you looking at the standings?
I can be.
Okay, so pull up the wild card stand, or just the wild card page or whatever, and we're going to go through the teams. I started with Philly, the longest winning streak, 8 games. So even that's not a whole lot. I'm just real curious to know like where this lands.
You started with the Phillies?
I started with the Phillies, so we got the Padres next.
Yep.
Longest winning streak, 8 games. Longest losing streak, 8 games.
Arizona?
Are they in?
They're not in.
Longest winning streak, 5 games. So there's your break.
I was looking at the people right ahead of us.
Yeah, so let's stay the guys that are in. So we got Chicago.
10
games.
Atlanta.
Oh, I threw Milwaukee in there. So Milwaukee is just 5 games.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
And they went on a
interesting.
run of like barely losing, but winning a lot, but not an actual streak. Atlanta, 8 games.
Dodgers.
6 games. What's Tampa Bay? What's their... Oh, no. Is it TBR? Ha, TBR.
TB.
TBR on Baseball Reference. 9 games for them.
White Sox.
Just 5. Well, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, 67 and 62. But still, division. You got a nice
Houston.
division to do that.
Yeah, Houston.
Houston's going to be this like probably similar. 6 games. Again, 60,
Dude, they're winning their division at 65 and 66.
Yeah. Under 500 winning their division.
Yankees.
Yankees longest 8 games.
Red Sox.
15.
Cleveland.
And they had to come back from behind, right? So that's why
right.
they had to have a bigger one. Cleveland, 7.
And Texas, because Cleveland and Texas are tied for that last spot.
Under 500.
No, they're right at it. Or no, yeah, they are under it. 65 and 60.
6 games. Are they? They're 60. The Rangers were
65 and 66.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say because it says 64 and 66 on here. So anyway, yeah, it's yeah. Most of those teams went on some sort of run.
Yeah.
And I guess like we did with Cleveland a couple of years ago, if you look at those White Sox, one of the things that you look at is how you're doing in your division. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's their division record if you're looking at that? I see they're 6-4 against Cleveland, 6-3 against Detroit, 7-3 against Kansas City, 4-3 against Minnesota. When you get to have a winning record against every team in your division and only be 5 or 6 games over 500, that's how you win a division.
Were you talking White Sox?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And their home and away split's crazy. 39 and 26 at home and 29 and 36 at away.
So anyway, you got to go on a run. And that didn't I would like to see how far that goes. If you look back previous years at the postseason teams and what kind of winning streaks they've had and see if there's anything consistent with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Take a look through the chat here. I know a lot of stuff came through while we were doing that. And Miles says, first time all season I plan to do something during game time. Was more enjoyable teaching the kid how to change rotors and pads on the car than to watch the game. Yeah, I mean, this one, listen, outside of the race, the Friday night and Saturday night were good baseball games.
Yeah.
I mean, Saturday, you got the first inning and then it was nothing, but like they had opportunities. They had opportunity. And then obviously watching Tarek Skubal right now pitch any game, like you were lucky to get the 3 runs in the first. Because he settled in and he was really good. And then you just hoped to get something against that bullpen and, you know what I mean, whatever else. But like, especially Friday night, each game kind of got progressively worse. But that first game was a good baseball game. It was enjoyable to watch. And it's just, you come up short. And like I said, if that's May, you'd be like, oh, we played them pretty well until Sunday. And then Sunday you show up and you do that lineup thing again where I know the last time they put a crappy lineup out there, they scored 8, but you're facing Blake Snell. Not, I don't know. Martin asked what players should not be back next year. I think that if there is a next year, that's right. I think that that's something that we'll cover as we go forward. I don't know right now. I think there are some players that there's still something to see a little bit. Martin, I mean, from the time they acquired Brandon Lau, he was not coming back.
Yeah.
And it's not because he doesn't want to. He doesn't owe anything here. You know what I mean? I think what would we talk about if there's some kind of magic and you feel really attached, then maybe. But like the idea for these guys when they get to free agency is to see what free agency has for you. And so, I mean, the thing is he's going to test it. He's going to look, and he deserves that. Like, you've earned that. When you get through that time in your contract, in your MLB career, you deserve an opportunity, even if you like it there. Just hear what other teams say. If you really loved it in Pittsburgh and you want to come back, then you can make that decision if they're close financially. But like, if you're going to get an extra $40 million on your contract, I'm sorry, it's kind of silly to go back. You got a family and you care about your family, like make their kids and probably their grandkids fine.
Yeah.
Sign an extra $40 million. You know what I mean? That's a legacy that you can't, you change the course of your family's history by doing that. So I just don't think that you do that. There are scenarios where I guess it could happen. Like nothing's ever a 100% that we're saying here,
right?
But you've deserved the opportunity. I don't think that the Pirates have the ability, unless things change for next year, and it might be too late by then. Lau might have already signed, but I don't think the players have the ability to compete in the world of free agency. They have a better chance. You've seen how bad this team has been over the course of the last 20 some years, and they have a better chance of competing on the field than they do in free agency. As Greg mentioned earlier, I want to see a cap system. Every team has a chance. So, I don't know.
The thing about that, though, like we actually put a roster together that had a chance. They just didn't get it done. Period. We had a roster that we had a playoff roster. This roster from day one was put together, and we were happy about it. The bullpen we weren't super stoked on,
right?
But this was a team that was put together to make the playoffs. And when you looked at it, you said, "I think we got a shot to make the playoffs."
Yeah.
So I don't know that the cap system says that we don't have a shot, because we had a shot this year. The few pieces either got hurt or didn't pan out, whatever, but we were able to construct a roster that was supposed to be good enough to make the playoffs.
Right.
Within our budget.
But let me ask you this, though. Within the budget is right. And I think that you're still short of being able to have a roster that can handle the injuries and the poor seasons that we were having, right? You talk about stretches of Skenes where you couldn't IL him if you wanted to try to get him right. You couldn't, because you didn't have anybody else. Right? You were just kind of throwing it together at points. Mitch Keller, in the season he was having, could you have done something different with that if you had a deeper roster? I mean, obviously we had deeper starters, and we can talk about Oviedo and Burroughs departing and how we were a little bit nervous about that. We wanted them to sign another starter, and they didn't. They went with Majinski instead, and that set us back. So if they had enough money to get another starter, let's add to what that budget was, right? And then on top of that, we already talked all off season and at the beginning of this year about how we were nervous about how this bullpen's going to be. You got Soto. That was it.
Yeah.
You needed 2 more of Sotos. And so if you had a budget that went just a little bit further and you could get a couple more relievers that we were all talking about, could you have landed any of them? And if you did that, Jake, then you can say, we had not just the roster that could win games that we could start and we could feel good about, but we also had the depth and the protection that you could have been able to do that. Offensively, it worked out. Mangum played well when he came in as a starter. Esmeralyn Valdez came in and tore up for a while. You had moments from other guys. Nick York actually early in the season had a really like a small but a nice stretch. Later in the season, he had a couple games here since he's been back that he's made an impact on. You had Tyler Callahan, who had like a couple weeks of some clutch hits. So you had guys kind of stepping up here and there. Rafi Flores with a week or so of some production there. Andy Rodriguez. So like you had something there. There were moments where you were able to put together something. And when you lost that, you had no one else to go to. And I think when you look at saying like, well, we spent money enough to put a team on there, but that money is still not going to be enough in this league. It still falls short of what you actually need to go out. Now, you could, if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, right? Their prospects came up and they've worked. So they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But for the Pirates, where we stood right now, it was that depth and specifically in pitching. Because the offense really, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue when you're a top 5 offense.
Right.
It's hard to argue that you're breaking records that were set, that are being set for this franchise. You know what I mean? But when you look at the pitching staff, they just couldn't afford any more bullpen arms. They just couldn't afford another starter. And we saw proof of that at the trade deadline when they started making moves and they weren't able to make all the moves, or the ones that they did, like Luke Weaver, where they were like, this guy costs a lot of money. So here we're going to work out this deal where we send a little extra and we, you know what I'm saying? And then you go and you do a trick where you don't have to barely pay him for the next 2 years. Right. And that's the only way that they can try to make it work. So yeah, there was a little bit more money being spent. And if you share that, we've talked about this in the last few weeks here. Greg says Nutting will never trust another GM to spend his money. He gave Sherrington the funds this year and they will finish last again. I don't think, I mean, they better not finish below the Reds, but they're a half game different than the Reds right now. And they have to prove that they're better. They have to finish above them. Yeah. And the thing is it's not enough, and I don't know. That's just where I'm at. That's just where I'm at. Yeah. I'm looking at some of the chat here because I want to listen. We had stuff to talk about. We could sit here and talk about Friday night. We could talk about Davis hitting into a double play and the decision that Don Kelly made. And I know that like piling on Don Kelly is an easy thing to do right now. And I think that was a bad call. Like it was a bad decision to pinch run Henry Davis for Rafael Flores in that moment of the game. The problem is what I keep seeing is everybody keeps coming up with new reasons why it was a bad move, and those reasons are wrong. It wasn't too early in the game. There was one out in the 8th inning.
Right.
And yes, Henry Davis is that much faster than Rafael Flores. I'm only imagining that the thought process is, and probably was, again, a lot of baseball right now is okay, if you don't go into a game with a plan, that's been that way for a long time. If you don't go in with a plan, you're already behind. Mm-hmm. You can abandon that plan, but you have to have a plan. And they probably had a plan that if Flores got on late and he wasn't tearing up, mind you, he was 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't tearing up, that we would pinch run if we needed that run. That's probably part of the plan. Don Kelly did not abandon that plan. Why would I have not done it? It was a tie game. The chances are never greater of going into extra innings than when the game is tied. So you had to imagine that Flores was going to get another chance. That's why I wouldn't have done it. But if you ask me that if Mangum puts one in the gap, the chances of Davis scoring from first over top of Flores, a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe 50% of balls in the gap hit by Mangum, Davis scores 50% times more than Flores. Like, if it gets to the wall, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say that I differ on this. I'm putting him in 8 out of 10 times
Really?
in that situation. 100%. I want a guy because I want to score the go-ahead run.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we're tied, but there's only one out. We can get him in. But
If he's at second, I agree.
No, I don't. I would have the same opinion. I'm putting him in, and I'm going to trust him to have a major league at bat.
That's the other thing is he has to come through, right?
Yeah,
he's on your roster. You have to be able to rely on him. Period.
He just has to not hit into a double play,
right? Strike
even
out.
Even if he has his patented fly out to third base, like
you still got another chance.
I'd be better with that. It's just the fact, and he hit the ball. He hit it well, just right at him on the ground. Like it's. I don't know. It's tough because I also I like Henry Davis. I still think he can figure this thing out, but I don't think he can figure it out this year. It's definitely gonna be an off-season thing.
We said that in May. We said it said the problem is the changes he needs to make is an off-season thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a scenario where you could have ended up with Endy and Flores and sent Henry down.
Yeah.
Greg, this is the kind of discouraging thoughts that I'm seeing and that is really hard to take. I always watch 162. I gave up watching this week. Never did before in my life. That's what's insane is this team, because of the expectations that they're missing on, which is still like a team worth watching, but the frustration gets so high because it's not what you thought you were going to see at this point in the season. So yeah, Martin, I'm with you here. As disappointed as I am, I'll be sorry. Dude, when baseball ends, I'm not okay. So that's the thing is that's what's making this really difficult because I just want them to just play respectable baseball so I can enjoy it. If there's not going to be baseball next year, if they continue to play like this the rest of the season, the Pirates are going to lose a lot of their fan base.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the way it is, which is obviously not good for people like us, but but you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. High expectations was bad for me. I ruined baseball for myself this year. Greg, you should have had high expectations. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's also okay that this is what sports are.
Yeah.
It is kind of there's always a chance that you could not do well. Which is why if you're a Dodgers fan, let's say, and the expectations are quite literally go 162-0 and win the World Series. You know what I'm saying? And so if they go in and they end up with a wild card or something, and you're disappointed or I don't know, they're in the postseason, they still win the world, or let's say they get first place or whatever and they fall just short of the World Series or something like that. And they played great and they had a great season. If it wasn't for the fact that could happen, that it's not a guarantee that they win the World Series, you wouldn't watch sports.
Yeah.
You wouldn't watch sports. And if you robbed yourself of the excitement, let's say if their expectations are to win the division, win 100 games and win the World Series, and they do all of those things and you don't allow yourself to be happy about it because that's just what you expected, then don't watch sports. You know what I mean? You should be able to enjoy the wins wherever they come and however often they come, because that's what sports are for. And it comes along with being frustrated when they lose. It's part of the thing that you sign up for, but understanding that they have to play these games and nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that it don't set your expectations low just so you can be surprised. If you set them high and they reach them, you should still celebrate that. Of course, we're not talking about that this year. We're talking about the fact that they're not reaching that.
Yeah.
Jack says he didn't look at the standings since the trade deadline. They were too late. The trade deadline's too late. I mean, we talked about that too. Like the changes they made were good and they've shown to be good. They're just too late. Yeah. And they've got more problems that are now creeping up. And like we said, if the bullpen didn't blow 18, 20 saves early in the season, then we'd be trying to keep our spot in the wild card, not fight to get there.
Yeah, and you look back on that, and they were relying on Santana, and he was good at the beginning, and then he did that massive fall when he just fell apart, and no one else was ready to step up and be that closer.
Chuck in Uniontown saying major changes need to be. To be fair, I think Chuck says that every year, so we do love Chuck, but Chuck's never really been too happy about much of anything. Sometimes I think maybe it's just because the team's bad. It seems like that.
Yeah.
We get laser focused on. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, there was a comment. I can't really scroll through those. There was a comment earlier about left-handed pitching. Our production against left-handed pitching. Did you find that?
Yeah, I can find it. I'm so far behind in the chat, guys. Greg said, I just don't know how you can struggle against left-handed pitching all season and not get any better.
So I think as of recently, they have gotten better. For sure. The last few starts against left-handed pitching before this Dodgers series, they were better. Like I think we won two straight games against the Red Sox that had we won the 2 against lefties and lost against Sonny Gray. And those 2 lefties were having good seasons. But you can't turn around and say we didn't get any better. We lost to Tarek Skubal and Blake Snell. Come on.
You had 5 hits, 3 runs off of Skubal. I know you had 11 strikeouts, but that's because he's Skubal.
Right.
He's back-to-back. I mean, you got 3 runs and 5 hits off of Skubal.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they all came in the first inning, but it doesn't matter when they come. You scored the runs.
Yeah.
That's a quality start, but I think, it's not what they did against Snell today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you look, but you look back, that's better than they've done against some lefties with 5-6 ERAs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just disagree with the fact that they haven't gotten any better. They haven't gotten better enough, and they gotten better too late.
Too late. Yeah, it's only been 100%. Very recently, right?
Yeah, but these changes and adjustments need to be made a lot earlier. 100% couldn't agree more on that. But I just don't want to say they didn't get any better at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting because of the fact that, I mean, we kind of all wondered who's going to hit against lefties.
Well, and that's why they brought in Ozuna. He just didn't show up this year.
That's just one. And obviously none of us saw what O'Neal Cruz was going to be able to do against lefties. We all, we did not expect him to be good.
Just fine.
Yeah, you're right. 12 and 27. Yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying, Jake. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you that there were some. I specifically just being able to get 3 off of Skubal when you've been this bad against lefties all year is, I mean, that still is one of those 27 now. You know what I mean? So when you talk about wins and losses, it still is one of those 27. And you still only scored 3. We know the magic number's 4, which they end up getting 2. Oh, that was Friday night. So they didn't get there. But yeah. Not good enough still, right? And so that's the thing. And it has been a season-long thing. And I don't know. Even when Valdez was there, and we've had, my goodness, Flores, who lately has been hitting and hitting lefties well. Even with one guy, even if Ozuna would have been what those guys were, it still wouldn't have been enough.
Well,
and Lau was better than what some people said he was going to be.
Yeah.
Remember, he didn't get a shot at the beginning of the year, and it was like, no, dude, you got to give him a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, hitting is so contagious, though, that one guy can make a difference. Not all the difference, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you have a few guys that are hitting okay against lefties, and you got one guy that's scorching lefties, which is what Ozuna's been his whole career, the guy behind him is going to start feeding off that. The guy in front of him is going to start feeding off that. Then once those two, and then it spreads throughout the lineup, and people start feeding off each other. So I think it would have made a pretty large impact had Ozuna showed up and just done what he's done his whole career.
And you got 60 games from Connor Griffin, which meant when he was in the game, when he wasn't in the game, Jared Trillo was. And he's supposed to be the lefty hitter, and he just did nothing.
Right.
There was no damage. There was no signature moment that I can remember right now. There were some base hits to right field that drove in a run, but it just was nothing that, I mean, Trillo has 2 home runs, right? And one of them didn't even go over the fence without the outfielder pushing it over there. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Doug said, prediction for the rest of the season record.
We talked about this.
We did talk. Yes. So we keep going back to our preseason picks and how we feel about those. And right now, to get back to mine of 84, they have to go 21-9. And to get to your 86, they have to go 23-7. They have a schedule after. Yeah, don't feel good about that. They have a schedule that has a few like opportunities, I'll say. They've got to play better, but they've got some opportunities.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about I don't think 86 gets you in right now.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think 86. So even if they get to yours, I mean, at the beginning of the year, I was debating on whether 84 would get you.
Yeah.
I must have been looking at the National League thinking it was the American League. But anyway, right now, just to get to 500, they'll go 18-12 to get to 500, 81-81. And in order to be one, and I think that's what Bucko Mike was talking about when he said 18-12 here. Right after that. 19-11 gets you over 500. I see the possibility of one of those. I just don't, I can't get myself to get to the 84.
No.
I can't get, I mean, it's only 2 more wins than 19-11. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be pushing it to get back there. I could see that happening. What do I think it's going to be? 16-14. I think they'll find a way to get some of those extra wins, but I think it's going to fall apart even more.
Yeah, I'm looking at 15-15. I'm looking at them finishing 500 ball,
which would put them at 78-84. That to me, and you can listen, there's going to be people in your life, on your Twitter feed that are going to say, I told you so. They were always going to be this. That's okay. They can think that way. Watching the games tell you otherwise. This is a major failure if they win 78 games. It's a major failure. It is way under what they should have been.
Yep.
I might go, I'd have to look at that schedule again, Jake. I mean, I might go 17-13, but things have to change. You have to see some people bouncing back. I really do think that they have some favorable series coming up that I think they can get through if they just play their game. With the bullpen they have now, if they could just get out ahead, get on a run. It's now the 23rd of August. You are essentially 2 weeks from having Connor Griffin for 20 of those games. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Does that spark something in? You have to play a little bit. You have to play a little bit because if you're a player on this team and you're a coach on this team, First off, they're not going to quit.
No.
I know that people are going to say this team has, no, they haven't quit. They don't quit. That's not what teams do. That's not what professional athletes, you don't get to the major leagues by quitting. That just doesn't happen. And a guy like Don Kelly knows that there were expectations there and he wasn't meeting them. He's pushing. You know what I'm saying? He's pushing. They want to win. They want to show Bob Nutting.
Dang it, Bobby.
That it's worth investing into this team and keeping on pushing to try to make this team better. They want that.
100.
Esmeralyn Valdez, Rafael Flores. I mean, all those guys, like, they're playing for a job. They want to stay there.
Yeah.
Majinski here says needs IL. He doesn't need IL. He needs to pitch better. And then he doesn't need the IL. He needs to let go. I'm done.
Yeah. Pitch in the bullpen and don't fuss about it or, see ya.
I don't. He would be so good in the back end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go
Just
do
do
that.
it.
It's
Just go do
all
that.
literally, give me, I said this before. Carmen, if you ever listen to this, give me a reason not to believe it's just all about money. Because that's the only way I can view this is it's all about money. Because you can be a bad major league starter and make more money than a 8th inning setup guy. And I understand that. Like Soto made $8 million this year. If he was better, he'd make 12. If you stink as a starter, you make 15. I understand the math. Maybe we should be changing that a little bit.
Right.
The fact that starters don't go too far. The point is, be good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, so Jack says the Padres and Snakes are on pace for 86, and they have to be better than both of those teams.
They got to play both of them too.
They do. No, not Arizona again, right?
I thought they did.
No, they just finished the Arizona one the last time, and they're even with them now. They could have had the season series there. They have to be better than them because they're even with them.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Angels. The A.
Okay.
The logo. I was like, I could have swore I just saw the A.
Greg Sherrington did say they're going to make a run. I saw another comment in here too about it, and you're right. It's too late. You talk about like, oh, we get everybody here, we're going to make that run is it's too much, right? It's too much. You can't. We talked about that on last week's show and maybe even the week before that. They've not done that already.
Yeah. I agree on this one. Curtis should be here to stay. I mean, maybe not the whole rest of the year, but I think he should be given a look at to start a game.
It's really interesting. There are some guys. We've seen this with other players before too. There are some guys that whatever they're doing in AAA, that isn't showing up on the stat sheet. Because he's got a 5 ERA down there. And he came up and I watched him pitch in Cleveland and I was like, I did not expect this. It was very good. And then even today, what we saw, it was good.
He only did one strikeout, but no hits, no runs. Like,
right.
That's
there's enough. Yeah, there's enough there to say I would rather see that than Carmen Majinski right now.
100%.
I just want to see what it is. And I think that game in Cleveland, they're the only two guys that pitched. Am I right?
Yeah.
Majinski came in after him, and it was just the two of them. Maybe one. Maybe one. Oh no, there was one at the end because remember Soto came in. Well, I don't remember which game that was. I saw two of them.
I'm not even suggesting you do that with him. You just give him a start and then use the bullpen as normal. Like it doesn't have to be a piggyback.
He went
start.
6 innings that game.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I wasn't saying piggyback. I'm just saying. Even if you do that and there's only 2 pitchers in the day, it's successful.
Sure. But, I'd like to see him get another start down the stretch. I mean, I think he's kind of earned it.
I think he gets his next start in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I think that happens. And they'll see what it looks like, right? And if it goes bad, that's fine. It went bad.
Yeah.
Give him one more. If it goes bad too, you send him back down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Greg says money and ego. Back to the Majinski thing. Even the ego, man, you could feed the ego in the back end and be dominant and be like, I'm a dude. I feel like you could feed your ego back there. It's mindset, right? If you're somebody who says, no, the starting pitcher is the guy, then yeah, your ego still goes like, I'm not a bull. I didn't fail. Okay. Okay, buddy. Keep telling yourself that. Martin, no Buctober in 26. Yeah. We a long time ago when we started this thing, we questioned like Bridge to Buctober, that's got a ring to it. But is that crazy? Well, we just, we kind of said like, it doesn't matter how long that bridge is.
Yeah.
We're talking about what it takes to get there until we get there. And then, maybe once we get there,
we'll rename the show.
Rename the show when we get there. No, but it could be every season, right? You talk about getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If they do make a run, Miles says, if they do make a run, that's a team going in as the hottest team in baseball. Even, like I said, even a run right now probably doesn't get you in, but it is. Yeah, this might be what we have to temporarily go with, Bucko Mike, is bridge to 500. Actually, that wowould be kind of a funny way to get to our 500th episode. We're at 467 right now. So we're kind of on the bridge to 500 here. And that, I think the expectation of that is, I think everybody will get the joke.
Yeah.
So a gig of the bridge is the friends we made along the way.
I don't know.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's man, I really thought that we were going to have totally different conversations at the end of this.
Yeah.
Greg makes a good point here. I don't know that we'll ever see another Buctober until the front office changes. I think that there are some days that I am with this, but let's just say that the next ownership group, the next group that comes in and is calling the shots here, let's say they decide to spend the way that Nutting did this year. Right? You're going to have a better chance because Jake, you could go back to April and play this season over again. And I think there'd be a legitimate chance the Pirates could then be in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things that happened along the way that I think if you played this simulation 10 times, there's a chance the Pirates are in the postseason more than once in that simulation.
Oh, I think it's 6 or 7 times.
You always leave it up. You never know if somebody else goes on a run, like what the Cardinals are doing this year. That could have been the Reds this year. They could have went on some sort of run too that would have made it more difficult. But you could run this simulation and let's kind of agree at like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Out of 10, they would be in the postseason if you did that. So if you get another ownership group and Jack says 6 or 7, or he's just waving his hands around.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
If that's the case, right? If that is the case and they could do it. Bucko Mike, in this simulation, that's the only year that you have to deal with the stuff that you've had to deal with this summer. I promise you.
Yeah.
It's only 1 out of 10. You're good to go, man. We won't play the year over again, but you get the idea. You're good though. But that's kind of the thing. When you look back at something like that and you can say like they do this amount of money that the next ownership group, if they agree to spend more money, it's going to look like what they spent this year. maybe a little bit more. But you're just hard pressed, Jake. We understand enough about the landscape of things, about the fact that the TV deal is not good, and everybody's like, "Oh, the ratings are great." It doesn't matter. The ratings are great. It's not a good deal. It's nothing. It's pennies compared to what Guggenheim is bringing in with Spectrum in LA. And what NBC pays in Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing. And not to mention, they don't have a parking lot.
Right.
Right? So they don't get a bunch of money with parking. They have a small, intimate stadium, or a slightly small, that doesn't pack out unless it is you got to prove it first. I got no problem with that. Like, you do have to prove it. The diehard baseball fans are going to show up regardless. The people who are just casually going to a game are going to show up occasionally. You want to pack that thing, you got to win games first. It doesn't work the other way around. And so I just don't think. Now, the one thing is you could get an ownership group to take risks, to say we're going to spend from a deficit in order to win a little bit. They can't do that for very long, but you can do that. This ownership group will not. They will not spend in the red. But the point is that even with a new owner, your back's against the wall immediately, because there's just not the same kind of money coming in here that there are in other places. Now, the Brewers get it done. The Rays get it done. They're getting it done this year. The Brewers, back-to-back seasons, best team in baseball. They've got it going right now. That comes from development working, everything clicking, making the right moves. They're doing everything right now.
Yeah.
So yes, it's going to work, and it's going to work with a low payroll because young players don't get paid that much. That's just how it works. I just don't think it's as easy as new owners. That's my fear.
Right.
What it needs, Greg, specifically, not to call you out, but like you know, this was your thing. And you even said it earlier. You want a whole new system across the league. We have an opportunity with this CBA to at least make strides in the right direction. That will make a bigger impact on whether or not we can compete year in and year out than a new owner will. Because if the money is coming in and you're in the black, then Nutting will allow more money to be spent. He just won't take a risk. He won't go beyond that. If the Pirates make this much money, then your budget is based on that.
Yeah.
He won't spend money outside of that and hopes to get it back. That risk reward thing. Because for him, the franchise value is going to continue to increase regardless. So if I just don't lose money, then I keep making money. Even if you break even, you've done great.
Yeah.
Because the franchise value still went up. And ultimately, that's what it is. So that's why I'm saying, as Jack says, the parking revenue is a big factor. Greg, if there is baseball next year, Nutting will have a very low payroll. He won't touch $100 million. And this was my fear, and I talked about this, I think, last week, maybe even said something Friday. I feel like I'm saying a lot of things over and over again right now. But, yeah, I mean, if you're under 500 and you're Bob Nutting, put yourself there, and you're thinking, you don't remember that he's not real baseball savvy. I mean, and like that, you know, there's a lot of people that aren't. There's people that comment on my Twitter posts that aren't baseball savvy. They act like they are, but they're not. But the point is we know he's not baseball savvy.
Yeah.
And he tries to stay out of the baseball on purpose because of that, which is fine. So if you're a GM, you have to convince to him it's worth it to spend more money. That's part of the job. If he looks at a team that's under 500 that he just spent the most he's ever spent, and he looks and says, well, in 23 and 24, I had the same amount of wins or close to, I'll just go back to that budget, because if we're not doing any better, I'm not going to spend more money. it would be hard to not think that way.
Yeah.
If you, like I said, if you didn't understand what it takes, then you would probably go a little. I don't even think it's that. I don't even think it's. I don't think any of that even is crossing his mind. I think what he does from the things that I've read and heard over the years, I think he says in 2026 we made this much money, so our budget for 2027 is this. It fits within that. That's it. I think that's what he looks at. If I made $100 in 2026, then 2027 you're allowed to spend 60. Assuming there's other things you have to pay for too, right?
Right. Yeah.
If they have a special number, then whatever. So literally, I think that's all he's looking at.
Yeah,
that's it. Because I think that this still, like, yeah, we spent more money because we made more, but it still wasn't enough. I don't know how you would think anything else. If you weren't watching the games and you don't know baseball, you clearly would think, well, that just wasn't enough. I wouldn't even say baseball. If you don't understand sports and the idea that anything can happen, you have to play the games, that putting things on paper and spending a certain amount of money, you don't get a guaranteed return from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope you guys are tracking with me.
I could see a world where he still spends $100 million. I think I don't think I'm with you. I think we all know he's not baseball savvy, but I think he knows enough to know that it wasn't the money spent wasn't the problem. Like, there was a lot of stuff that went wrong, that didn't click, it wasn't. I spent all that money and we still finished up this way, but there's reasons why we ended up this way. I think he's at least smart enough to know that there are underlying reasons why we didn't finish the way we finished, or we didn't finish the way we expected.
Yeah, well, here's a suggestion. Go get someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Yeah, listen, it's not good. It's not good. I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know what it takes to kind of salvage the vibes. If we understand, and I'm kind of bullish on this, right? Anything can happen, all that. So I'm a little bit bullish on the fact of, like, giving up in a sense. But like I said last week, like, they're out of it until they get themselves back in it. And I think now, moving forward to the sweep this weekend, I don't think they can just simply get themselves back in it. I think it takes a miraculous run. And now I think you're at a point where you also need other teams to do something like drastic. You need either the Phillies or the Padres to go on an awful run, because we're looking at the Padres. And if you go and you sweep the Padres, you've gone from 8.5 behind the Padres to 5. Is that how it works? 5.5 behind the Padres. You know what I mean?
6.5.
Well, you got 3 games, right? So 8. So you win one game, you're 7.5. You win the second game,
9.5. I'm sorry.
Oh, 8. Yeah, 8.5. So you would go to 5.5 behind the Padres. The thing is if the Diamondbacks won a couple games, then they're still ahead of you, and you're still not. You're 5.5 behind the Padres at that point. Not everyone. So you still have 6 against the Cardinals, right? We have this one, and then we host them at home. You could still finish better than the Cardinals based on those 6 games alone, but you probably have to win 6 straight games against them. I don't know.
Yeah, we still have some division games coming up.
Right. And those don't matter. Like, you're out of it, right? Are we officially eliminated from the division?
I would imagine. I don't see how we couldn't be.
Well, I mean, you have to be what? You have to be, how many games? You have to be 15 games back at this point with 30 games left. Is that how it works? Because if you win every day and they lose every day, you've gained 15 games. No, you'd gain 30. So you'd have to be 30 games out to be mathematically eliminated.
19.
And we're 19. So we'll talk about that next week.
We do have 3 more with the Brewers, so
We do. Obviously not that we're thinking that they're going to get back to that point.
yeah. Obviously.
Their expected win-loss for the Brewers right now is 102. No, that's what it was. Because they got ours at 84 and 78. I don't think that's from here on out. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway. They're done. As far as the postseason, they're done.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you, and you guys answer this in the chat too, if the timing allows us to get to them. Knowing and accepting that the postseason run is over, right? Until if they win 15 straight, then we can start talking about it again. But as of right now, we're not talking about it. It's over. 30 games left. What does it need? What do you need to see in 30 games to at least salvage some sort of, all right, at least X happened?
I think it's Connor coming back, adding that spark to the lineup. See what he's able to come back and do. I think we'll still get like a couple weeks, right, of O'Hearn if he makes it back on time.
I don't even know if you get a couple weeks. It might just be like a week. And at that point, do you even do it?
Well, yeah, because I still want to see everyone on the field at once that we expect to be a part of this next year or expect to be possibilities for next year. In the last 30 games, my biggest thing is seeing Connor back and seeing what we look like with Connor Griffin. I want to see maybe 1 or 2 of the minor league starting pitchers get starts. I'd like to see Christian Curtis, see what he can do. I wouldn't mind seeing Antoine Kelly get a start or 2 down the stretch. I just want to see. I don't want to pack it in. Like I feel like those are 2 guys that I'm not like, let's throw this game away just to see what they have. I think it's 2 guys that you could give a shot and they'd give you a respectable starts.
Dotel? Like, do you have interest? Is Dotel in that group too?
Yeah, I think Dotel would be in that group as well. Yeah, I just they've had him in a role, so
yeah,
I just
overlooked
that one. But yeah, he would definitely be in that as well.
So okay, but those are I understand a little bit of that. By the way, O'Hearn. I mean, we might be talking about the last 10 games.
Yeah.
So like the last
2 weeks.
week. Yeah. Okay. We're seeing, like Greg says, 81 and 81, a winning season. Miles says 82 wins and being competitive day after day, which if you go 19 and 11, that's competitive day after day.
Oh yeah. Sure.
That's to get back to 82. Like, I think that would actually be, I think that'd be fun. Martin says the 18 and 12, 500 won't feel so bad if you can get back to that, knowing where we were here. In the end, when you look back and say, well, they were a 500 team. Well, yeah, but they kind of got there. And, Jack says he thought O'Hearn would be done for the season. Why risk him getting hurt worse? Yeah, I mean, you'd have plenty of time to come back. If you are trying to fight for that, it wouldn't hurt to have him there. Miles says, would be great to see 3 starters go 6 innings of good pitching.
That's fair.
Yeah. Edward said, I need to see them be willing to cut their losses. Send Davis down, Jones and Carmen to the bullpen. Jones is interesting. Call up some starting pitching prospects, run the organization completely for a month. GM should act as GM. Oh, competitively. I'm sorry about that. I think that's what you said. I'm going back to what you said. I think the only thing that I would counter on that is if you are telling me like I want to see the young guys, that is quite literally to me packing it in. Now I will accept what you said is like I don't feel like it is because I think they have a shot of actually showing us something. But in the same way, and especially when you talk about Majinski's spot, yes, I would actually like to see them kind of rotate that for those guys and get them spot starts there. The reason I'm out on Jones being pushed to the bullpen is I don't think he's a bullpen arm. I think he's a starter. And so I don't think just because he's coming back from injury right now, and last 2 outings, it was 85 and 87 pitches. So I feel like he's kind of stretching out even more. And it doesn't like the stretch out doesn't matter as much if you don't make the postseason. But I think Jones is a guy that needs to be a part of the plans for the starting rotation for this team. Like, I think we've seen enough from him to know that he could be a good starter. If he's your number 3 or 4, like that's a good. And I think really on this team, he's going to he's going to be 4. Because I mean, we assume Skenes bounces back. I like Bubba and Ashcraft.
I think with his pitch mix, I think he's built for the bullpen, but I think he's shown us enough to stay in the starting role. I think he'd be a fantastic bullpen arm, but
yeah, I don't know.
He's you just go out and throw me some bullets with that slider and call it a day. You don't even need a third pitch.
He added another pitch, and I think there's still something there that I want to see. We've seen him be too good to give up on, and I understand.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I understand that. I think about the same with Antoine Kelly. I'm like, I don't even know why we're even going to try it. Like that dude's throwing 102 out of the pen. Like why aren't we just doing that? And I understand, like, I wonder sometimes with these guys, like, hey, we could keep you down there in AAA and keep starting so you can figure it out. Or I can play you on this team and throw 102 for a couple years, and then you can stretch out an off season anytime.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've seen that enough in the last, 4 or 5 years, guys, relievers for years, and then come out and say, I'm going as a starter. I'm going. Even guys that just hit free agency are like, I want a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like I'm not. Jones is coming by. I see Jack says Jones falls off the table after 50 pitches. He's coming back from an injury where he lost 1.5 years. I think this is like I think that it needs to be like understood that he's still coming back. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
And they brought him back because they needed him.
Yeah.
Typically they could have done a few of those starts in a few more of those, in the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Greg thinks Dotel's a big part of this team's future as a starter. Any of these guys can make a move like that. I still think that I think there's a possibility you could see Thomas Harrington still. I really liked what I saw from him. He's had a rough go of it ever since he was called up last year. And so, like, if he could figure it out and go back to that, having that better command, I still think there's a chance he could be a 4 or 5 in the major leagues for some years. It might just take longer for him, and it might not happen here. If he runs out of options, it might not happen here. But you just never know. If he comes back next year and it's looking really good, maybe he gets another shot at some point. Martin also wants to see how Cruz finishes the season. I think that's a big thing, man. He's at 16 homers right now. We've got 30 games left. I want to see, you've had the injury, but I want to see him get up over 20. Those little things.
I honestly don't care how Cruz finishes the season. He's shown me enough already. I mean, obviously I care, but like he doesn't need to show me anything else. Like I'm in.
Sure.
I mean,
that's
he comes
it's
back.
not
and
about what he
immediately
shows
makes
me.
another
It's
impact.
it's about momentum for the player and getting him to a point where he can have another 20 homer season. And I like it. I think Jones has 4 pitches now. By the way, I think that was the whole thing about this year when he came back, is that he's actually added 2 pitches that are actually effective now. I think right now it's location, right? He needs to throw strikes. He had 5 walks on Saturday. If he has his location, he pitches well. If he doesn't, or command, if he doesn't have command, he doesn't pitch well. And like I said, he's coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Martin says, didn't they say Jones had a blister form on his thumb in the 3rd inning yesterday that caused his bad 4th inning? I actually didn't see that, but that would make a lot of sense. I know that it seems funny a lot of times when we just talk about like, oh, he had a blister, but like that's the real deal for them, for pitchers. You can't do the same thing. And sometimes they come because you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. So 4-seam slider, changeup, curve this year.
Okay. Yeah. And I think the changeup has improved a little bit, and the curve is supposedly new. I don't know. Or at least they were supposed to be improved through his rehab. Jack said it would be awesome to see Harrington succeed. Been pulling for a control arm since Morton. Yeah, I agree. Really athletic dude. And yeah, if you could get a guy that could go out there and command, it would just make you think about a series going when you had like Skenes, or let's not say Skenes, let's say like Bubba threw, or Ashcraft or something, or even Jones in the 4 or whatever, and then Harrington in the 5, and he slows it down to the low 90s, and then you come back with Skenes the next night. Like, you're all over the place as a series facing those 3 guys in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think having somebody, it's the same thing I feel about like you need to have a lefty. You go in and you give a team a different look. If you run into a guy that's hot and he's hot against one side and you throw all righties, you might just play right into their hand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said that for a long time. You start getting, even with like Skenes and Bubba are very similar pitchers as far as like pitch usage and that. It's just you're stacking up. You're gonna stack up starts with like similar pitchers. I love seeing a pitching staff that's maybe 3 completely different pitchers.
Yeah. Just
And
having
then you have
diversity.
A couple, like there's a couple guys, but you spread them out that are similar. But yeah, that diversity is just, I think it's big for a pitching staff.
Miles, by the way, said that Jones downplayed it. Jones has a shtick that he likes to go with. And I'll say that. At times it's a little bit annoying. You just wish he would just tell you what happened. But Jones feels like if he says he has a blister, he made an excuse. And instead he likes to put himself down. It's like a little shtick that he does. No, I just suck today. You know what I mean? It's just a thing that he's doing, and it's his way of interviews. It rubs people the wrong way. And I think for him, it's like this tough guy mentality. Like, I got to be better regardless of whether I have a blister or not. You know what I mean? And so he's just, he's one of those guys that just, he doesn't want him to say there's an excuse, but like, and I understand that. Like, if you went out and you said, yeah, I got a blister, it did this. And so Miles says that's exactly what he said. I mean, that sounds right. I mean, that's what he's doing right now. That's his thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm out of things tonight, Jake. I think I'm out of talking points and answering whatever. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's what he said, because he says that too. I'm not going to share that on the screen, but that's, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to end it here. Murray. All right. You got anything
Number
else,
one.
Jake? Is there anything, number one, is there anything that you want to finish with here?
Just keep watching baseball for baseball, no matter what. It's a beautiful game. Might not get a lot of it next year. about it.
I don't like the might not. We're going to hold out hope all off season that they get this thing figured out.
100%.
There will be a lockout in December. What I don't want is that lockout to continue into, I'll go out and say it March. I've been going to spring training now and I love it. And I don't want to stop going just because you guys can't get together.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Stop being children. And let's lose another. Oh, wait, no. Let's make the postseason next year. Vibes are low, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out. I'm bummed out. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's go, Bucks.
Well, Lottie frickin' da!
Hey, I'll say this to finish off. Don't let baseball ruin everything else.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know we get frustrated by this, and that's fine. But don't let it ruin everything else.
It's just a game.
It's just a game that we love. And, yeah. Celebrate the highs and just be bummed out about the lows.
There you go.
All right, man. Let's go, Bucks. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Let's go, Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!